People, you all need to look at this video. Just watch this video. It's it's very, very pathetic, I must say. 30 children was stampeded in Oyo State just because of what? Hunger and starvation. Yes, that's how I would call it. Because if they had the 5K that was promised them, they will not rush en masse to this children from fair and be stampeded. You understand? So this thing is becoming really unbearable. It's just poverty that is causing all this havoc in this country. Hunger and starvation. It is what it is. Yes. Just watch the video. Watch the video. I don't want to talk much because I'm really, really teary right now. People's children gone. Just because of what? They are struggling for food that they will eat. Hunger is in this land. And we need to look into it as a matter of urgency. Please, both government and non-governmental organizations, we really need, if we can help ourselves, please let's do it. Watch this video.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you? It's almost Friday. A few more days to Christmas. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm
very excited. Good morning, Rufy on fire. Yes, it's great to have family around, especially during this Christmas. Well, good morning to you viewers. We're beginning what's trending on a sad note today, actually. Let's begin what's trending with the devastating news in Oyo State, where at least 30 children lost their lives, with many injured in a stampede that occurred during a Christmas fun fair in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, on Wednesday. Well, according to reports, the children's fun fair was organized by the ex-wife of the Oni of Ife, Queen Naomi Ogunwusi, who planned to host 5,000 children at the Islamic High School, Basharun, where the children will win exciting prizes, scholarships, and other bountiful gifts before the tragedy occurred.
Another big water. That's a big water.
Big water. This was a really sad incident, really needless death that occurred in Oyo State. And I mean, there's been some response, especially from the governor of the state, Seyi Makinde, who put out a statement saying that the organizers of the event have been, taken into custody and investigations over the incidents have been initiated. He also said that measures have been put in place to prevent further deaths at the venue. I believe that they had, taken some of the casualty to the, nearby hospitals in Ibadan. But, there's been reactions, and I want to take Peter Obi's tweet before we discuss. Peter Obi wrote a lengthy tweet, and his statement reads in part, is that this tragedy, which occurred during what should have been a moment of joy, highlights the harsh realities of our society, a country where the scramble for basics such as food, drinks, and small gifts often lead to unimaginable sorrow. How did we, as a people, reach a point where children, the very symbols of hope and the future, lose their lives in the pursuit of something as simple as Christmas gifts? This calamity exposes the deep inequality, pervasive poverty, and desperation afflicting our nation. It also reveals a broader failure in event planning, crowd control, and the fundamental duty to safeguard human lives. As we mourn these young lives, let us commit to building a society where such incidents are unthinkable. The measure of a nation's greatness lies in its care for the vulnerable, and this moment should inspire us to create a safer, more inclusive Nigeria. We owe it to these children to ensure their deaths inspire lasting change. I mean, the part of Peter Obi's tweet where he mentioned failure of event planning. I believe the organizers of the event, like I mentioned, one of them was the ex-wife of the Oni of Ife, who had, put out a statement at a radio station saying that, she was inviting children. I believe there was 5,000 of them, and 7,000 showed up, if you saw that crowd there. And, at the time when the stampede occurred, there was no sort of, safety measures to guard these children. There were children between the ages of, infants to 13 years old, Ayo. This is such a sad news, and first of all, our condolences to all families affected, and of course the governor of Oyo State, who has responded very swiftly to this incident. An eyewitness report from one of the parents in the Nation newspaper said that they'd arrived as early as, a lot of people had arrived as early as 5 a.m., 6 a.m., so there was a crowd already in front of the gate. It was when the gate was open, and I'm sure many of us in Nigeria have seen things like that, where a lot of people are pushing against the gate because there's so many people outside. So once the floodgates open, as it were, people just rush in massively. Before then, at that time, because of the crowd, some people had already started fainting. At that time, some people, of course, if you have children, very young children there, some people had fallen on the floor. And when you have a mammoth crowd like that, they were stepping on the children, and unfortunately, they lost their lives. It raises a lot of questions, and I'm glad that we've spotlighted the impact of poverty on people's reactions and response. 5,000 naira for 5,000 children was such a big deal that a mammoth crowd beyond 5,000 emerged. So the organizers should have taken that into context, knowing that since they didn't have any measures in place, whether a ticket, an armband, or a pre-registration, there was a possibility of an oversubscription of human beings coming there. What provisions did they make in the events that they had more people than required there? Maybe the first question to ask was the venue capacity. Could it take 5,000 people? Because if you have a crowd like that and then you see so many people, it means that perhaps the school wasn't even sufficient for the crowd that they were expecting. We see this happen a lot of times, and people take such risks. The other thing is, was there supposed to be a permit that should have been given for such a massive crowd gathering? Was that permit obtained by the organizers? If this wasn't done, then it's a case of negligence on their side. Was there provision for emergency responses? We've seen large events happen. There's no ambulance in sight. There are no paramedics in sight to respond to emergency situations like this. If that wasn't done, again, another case of negligence on the part of the organizers. Going on to go on radio later on to say, oh, which capacity was too late at the end of the day. So this is carelessness, negligence. But unfortunately, guess what? It's led to the loss of lives, and so people should pay for this. Because if you don't have examples of people not following due process when they want to hold such, even though it was in good faith, good gesture, if we don't have examples of this, then we're going to continue to see needless lives being lost. Finally, poverty. Poverty has been weaponized in such a way that we have turned our people to beggars. Yes. We've turned our people to almost animal-like situations. We saw this when we're sharing bread. People will be scrambling, killing themselves for a piece of bread. It highlights a failure as well of governments to meet the needs of the people such that desperate measures are taken for a piecemeal. Yes. It is very sad.
Yes, well said, Ayo. I mean, really, really sad incident. It's going to be a Black Christmas for many families in Ibadan. May their souls rest in peace, and I hope that, the families get some justice. We'll take another story. In Abia State now, where the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control shut down 150 shops in Ezioku Market in Abia. The agency, in a post on X, stated that it uncovered a large-scale network involved in the production and distribution of counterfeit and expired goods, including beverages, wines, and spirits, and revalidated food products like noodles and powdered milk. The counterfeit items destroyed, according to the agency, were valued at 5 billion naira.
Here is a home of fake products. In this area now, they revalidate all kinds of minerals. Fanta, Coke, Amstel, Hollandia products, all their products, Lacasera, they revalidate, they do a revalidation here. We stumble into one shop. Their main deal here is they produce all kinds of milk. This is fake milk. This is pig choco. This is Ovaltine. This is cowberry chocolate drink. They are also refilling all sort of tomato, also in the supermarket. This is soda tomato. This is golden penny vegetable oil. It is very repackaged here. This is it. You can see the liquid ones and the particles inside. This is a warehouse of, wait, they do repackaging here.
Oh my God. Well, kudos to NAFDAC. This was a 2-day raid. I mean, I cannot imagine the amount of people that may have been affected by these fake products. Unbelievable. I believe NAFDAC said that Ezioku market is a hotspot for counterfeit and, substandard products. They said illegal activities persist in that market despite, an agreement that was signed, I believe, back in December 2023 to combat and expose counterfeiters operating in the market. I'd like to take a tweet really quickly before we discuss. This person wrote, most time, it's the products that it sees. What happens to the producers of these fake products? Until the producers are jailed and the properties used for the production is also confiscated, there won't be an end to these evil practices. Rufai.
Truth has to be said. And please, this is a Nigerian killing fellow Nigerians.
Yes.
It's not government.
No.
It's not Tinubu. Because when we blame government all we can, we forget that some Nigerians are dangerous people. Very dangerous. In the words of somebody, dangerous. Very dangerous people. And this must be stopped. And kudos to NAFDAC as regards this. But that tweet is also important. Because what happens, Audrey, is it's always the foot soldiers they arrest. There are some key people in this country. It goes back to the concept of big manism. There are some key people that are in the vanguard of things like this. And you know, like we're discussing, it also brings about loss to those companies. Yeah. Manufacturers have been complaining that they can't sell their inventories. So apart from the economic condition, these people are also shutting away businesses and they're killing people. And this is what gets into the markets. Just look at drinks. Just imagine people that have consumed this. I remember when Dora Akulia was alive. You remember the case of paracetamol that was chalk and other drugs like that. Mm-hmm. So these are Nigerians, and we'd like to plead, please, do not destroy the lives of others. Because what goes around comes around. Somebody close to you might be the one buying these counterfeit products you're putting out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And also, the market leaders too should be brought in. They have associations.
Yes.
They should be brought in this advocacy. We need to smoke people like this out. The police too. Yes, they need to do a lot as regards smoking these people out. We need to see justice done. And the ecosystem must be shattered.
Absolutely.
Especially people that are selling the raw materials to them, the containers to them, and the entire ecosystem must be shattered.
Yeah,
and I say that it's not the case that they just report this now and we'll forget it.
Yeah, 5 billion naira worth of goods. Dr. Bati, this is not the first time we're seeing this incident.
And it might not be the last.
And like you said, it might not be the last. But I really like that tweet. We're seeing this confiscation going on over and over again, but no naming and shaming of the perpetrators of this crime, Dr. Bati.
Okay, the naming and shaming of the perpetrators is important because this is not the first time it has happened, and it will happen again. People selling fake products, people changing expiry dates, capitalizing on the general ignorance that is abroad within the country, to the extent that when people even buy items, they don't bother to even check whether the item has expired or not. As long as it looks like what they are looking for, they just go ahead and buy it. Now, the real public danger that is involved here is that it has to do with public health. You know, only God knows how many persons have had what do they call it, food poisoning, or, have died as a result of consuming expired products of various categories. Now, that's why the intervention by NAFDAC is important. But is it possible for us to have a culture of, standards, of respect for standards in Nigeria? We have NAFDAC in the Food and Drugs Administration category, but we also have the Standards Organization of Nigeria. Now, there's something they talk about in Britain. They talk about the British standard. It even applies even to the quality of a ballpoint pen that is sold. People who know the system will tell you, no, it's British standard. They make it sound like that British standard, unless it exists, it will not work. Do we have such a standard here in Nigeria? Despite the fact that we have the Standard Organization of Nigeria. It should be taken for granted that there should be a standard to anything, whether it's a drink or it's a piece of machinery or whatever. The other problematic part is that, look, in this country, we always blame leadership. Oh, leadership is the problem of Nigeria. Chino Achebe has written a book, The Problem with Nigeria. Look, what we have seen here is a clear demonstration that followership is also a big problem in this country. Nigerians are very wicked, sadistic set. Look, if they have an opportunity to take advantage of you, the average Nigerian will take advantage of you. Look at how people drive on the streets. You run into any kind of a challenge on the road, your fellow Nigerian will be looking for how to exploit you. When there was an issue with food inflation, even earlier this year, in certain communities, some elders of the communities were going to the markets to say, no, you cannot sell tomato at this amount. Even the people who bring tomato from the north, they are selling at a cheaper price. You just want to punish your fellow Nigerians, and then you turn around, you say it's Tinubu. You say it's Tinubu. How is it Tinubu? If you people yourself, you are very exploitative and very cruel people with a mindset. Yeah. So, and that's why national reorientation is very important. To educate, to reorientate Nigerians, that we are all in this environment to survive together. They call it Ubuntu. I am because we are.
Exactly.
There's some people think that, no, that sense of communalism, is not important. It's such people also that are the ones producing these fake drugs, fake drinks, that the state must identify.
Absolutely.
And sanction them to send a lesson to other people that because you want to make money and be rich, you say 5 billion. You want to make 5 billion at the expense of other people.
Other people's lives.
Which is unacceptable.
Absolutely. Well said, Dr. Bati. Well said. We'll take another story. On Wednesday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented the 2025 appropriation bill of 49.7 trillion naira to a joint session of the 10th National Assembly in Abuja. While concluding his presentation, the president mistakenly addressed the joint session as the 11th National Assembly. Well, a lawmaker immediately corrected the president following an opera by the sitting members. While reacting to the lawmakers, President Tinubu said the error implies that members of the 10th Assembly were all re-elected. Let's take a look.
I hereby present the 2025 budget to the joint section of the 11th National Assembly. Thanks. 10th? I wrote 11. Which means you are all re-elected.